So we were doing really great. Like marriage was, I thought was like, all right, I've done so much growth and like things are happening. And I made move on you and you were like, you sat me down and she said no. And I was like, oh, I want to use this thing. People getting divorced.
Tearing their families apart, coasting through marriage.
Or fighting their way through it. I'm Cass.
And I'm Kathryn.
We came back from the depths of hell to save our abusive, our toxic marriage.
We're MorrowMarriage.
Let's flip divorce statistics with the new marriage. Sex is not being used as a weapon. Okay, now I know before everybody goes out of control here, we obviously know there are times when people can use sex as a weapon. Typically men believe women use sex as a weapon all the time. And we're gonna talk about this today. I love this topic so freaking much. And also, I want to bring into the world the fact that men use sex as a weapon. And I know from personal experience, I know you know from very personal experience, how badly we use it as a weapon compared to what women are known to do. And this is a topic that I think is so freaking important because I just don't understand. First and foremost, my belief is this: if one of you is horny, you did everything right all day long, everything is great, everything is perfect, and you're just ready to go, one or both of you, yes, you've confirmed it, I can't wait to see you tonight. Something can change someone's mind. And now, that could be, if I yelled, that could be if I was kind of rude to the kids, if I was my old behavior, for example, if I was snarky. It could be if you got tired, you waited too long. I waited too long to make a move. Kathryn does not like to have sex before bedtime. She's already falling asleep.
I want to go to sleep.
Right? When you used to do that with me, or in the morning early, or I could wake you up at 3 a.m, just go for it. That was a different stage of life, right? And also, for us, I'm not saying for everybody, but for us, there was a lot of fear in that. You had to do it or else there'd be trouble if you didn't do it, and things like that. So the first thing I want to cover right now, before we get into a few other things here, is women don't use sex as a weapon. In general, of course somebody could use sex as a weapon. They could also not make your fucking meals. Stop being a baby, okay? There's different things that we can talk about here. That's participation, that's partnership, it's all kinds of things. So before you even look at that.
With the meals, she's not using that as a weapon either. Maybe if you were a jerk, she just doesn't want to do it anymore. She's not punishing you, she just doesn't want to do you the favor.
That's exactly right. And so I think it's really important to understand, first and foremost, what kind of sex do you want, okay? Most of the time when a man is using the words, she's using sex as a weapon, she's punishing me, she manipulates me, she controls me with sex, you are thinking about blowing your load and that is it. Well, that is making her not want to have sex with you. That is making her not horny, okay? First and foremost. So if you have your mindset wrapped around that, you're setting yourself up for failure, okay? Number one. Number two, yes, you could do things right all day long, but yeah, it does potentially push someone away, right? And third thing is obviously timing. The last guy that told me his wife used sex as a weapon, his kids were all on the iPad and he was so upset because she didn't want to have sex with him in the afternoon while she was cleaning the kids' room, and it was the first time she got to do it in a while. I was like, stop right there. It's the first time she got to clean the kids' room in a little while. You do the math, okay? Do you have anything that you want to add with wives that you work with about using sex weapon? Do women tell you, yeah, I'm thinking probably not as much.
I don't know if I've ever heard one of my clients say that they're punishing their husband with it. I do hear all the time though that their husband expects it and they don't understand why their husband expects it when they just called them a name or whatever it is, or they're not understanding of the fact that the wife is exhausted. I do work with a lot of women that have children, young children, babies even. And so they never say I'm withholding, they just say, I don't have sex drive, or my husband actually literally has turned me off and he thinks that I'm withholding sex, but I'm not withholding sex. I just physically don't, my body is not there. My emotions are not there. I need to feel the love first. I don't think I've heard one single person say, I'm not having sex with him because he doesn't deserve it.
Exactly.
Or like any sort of weaponry, if that's a word, I don't think I've heard one single person say that.
And you know what I've seen with thousands of men is that when they start to understand, so we break down the rejection, right? I have this rejection ladder that we work our way up, right? When we break down the rejection and they see the different things that they could have done, and we don't assume, right? But this probably isn't very sexual. Like it's not very, doesn't make anybody horny. If there's bad feelings inside, it doesn't turn you on. You are the same if you're a man listening to this right now. Watching this right now, right? Like you literally, if your wife just screams at you, it's not like you're like, oh sweet, drop the panties. Like we're not doing that. You know what I mean? Now, I do know from firsthand experience and from working with thousands of men who do use sex as a weapon. Men. Let's talk about it. Ooh. There was a time, actually, let me rewind. Okay, so you know we do a lot of work with the nice guy. Kathryn says we're nice assholes. But here's the thing. This guy who's giving and giving and giving and loving and loving and loving, and then she doesn't want to have sex with him. So he's upset, right? And the one problem I don't like about this is the guy who coined the nice guy syndrome. He coined it, and he talks about a woman being available. Fuck, I hate that. She should be available for you.
I'm pretty sure you used to believe that though.
I did.
That's
the problem. So there's just be careful where you're learning from. But she should want to be with you. Okay, you should have the mindset of that. Number one. But this guy, he gives and he gives and he gives, and then she's maybe not into it. Right? I
just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
When you say she should want to be with you, what he means is you want her to want to be with you.
Oh, yes.
Not she should. Not that this is her job. Not that you're entitled to anything.
No.
My husband firmly believes that you want your wife to want you, not to want to just keep you from being angry or to have
frustrated,
pity sex or like, to manage your emotions. You want your wife to desire you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that your wife will desire you, and there's all kinds of things that come into that. Like you said, being tired and hormones, and you guys got in a fight and all kinds of other things. But you want, when sex does happen, you want it to be because there's desire on both sides. And not, what's the word I'm thinking of? I can't think of it. But.
And also, if you really get into this, like at the end of the day, I have like 10 times the sex drive that you have. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you still want to connect.
Yes.
You still want to be together, intimate, right?
Every time that we have sex, it doesn't mean that I'm desiring, I'm ready to go.
Oh my God, I'm ready!
No, but I do still, in the times, we have to compromise. You know, when you have different sex drive, you do compromise. So he compromises by having less than he would want, and I compromise by having more than I would like. But I also like to be with him. I'm not doing it out of fear. I'm not doing it because he's feeling entitled. I'm not doing it because I feel like I have to. I'm doing it because I actually love my husband. And even if I'm not, I hate the word horny. I hate it. But since that's the word of the day that you've been using, even if I'm not feeling horny, if I'm not feeling like I want to be intimate, I still want to connect. I still want to be physically intimate with him. Just not necessarily, like, sex can look very different depending on what kind of mood you're in.
And all other factors that go on in life, right? I mean, and there are times when you're like, oh my gosh, that shirt. Actually, this shirt, she loves this shirt. Sometimes I wear this and she's
are lucky that we're even on the podcast.
Yeah, sometimes I put the shirt on, she's like,
whoa.
Oh my gosh, bedroom now.
Yeah.
But by the way, don't wear the shirt every day, 5 days in a row. Just because she said that, it won't work. Been there, done that. I think it was underwear for 7 days. But anyway, excuse me. That's your nice guy looking for approval. Don't do that shit. But anyway, so your nice guy, what'll happen is you will start to sabotage. So she rejects you, you feel bad. So if you've thought about or heard about men who are like, well, why bother initiating? Why? Whether you're talking about conversation, whether you're talking about sex, I don't care, anything in between. It's because you are afraid of being rejected and you don't want to, and you start to keep scoring negatively. And so you end up saying, well, it's her turn. And I did that. You remember after the girls. So we were doing a lot better, but then we had some backslides. And remember, you would come to me and you were so turned on. You didn't know what was going on. And this is how I ruined it. I literally would push her off of me and I would say, tell me you need me.
Oh my gosh.
And it
I had to check off so many boxes even to just have sex with my husband.
Yeah, it eventually got to a point where I would literally be screaming, tell me, why can't you just say the fucking words, you need me?
While we were
And she's like, I'm here, ready,
We're
right
doing
now.
it.
And sometimes we would actually be in it.
Yeah.
And
it was
I would
highly toxic.
literally start yelling at her in the act because I wasn't. I don't know. She didn't compliment me enough. Why didn't you say I have it big enough or whatever? I don't know. I don't even remember. But
This goes back to
yeah.
the last episode, insecurity.
Yeah, exactly. It's feeding your I'm not good enough, needing for approval, which is all that insecurity that we talked about in the last episode. And I know from a factual standpoint now that this is common with almost every single man that I've worked with. That doesn't necessarily have to be the caliber that I was capable of, because most people are not as bad as I was. However, there is some version of it, and it could be just I'm not in the mood tonight. You know, a lot of women will approach my social media and DM and be like, you know, what if it's the other way around? My husband won't sleep with me, right? It's all of the stuff goes mostly both ways. It's just that I speak to men from my perspective. Kathryn speaks to women from her perspective, right? It doesn't have to be angry and rageful. If you're just rejecting your partner based off the fact that really, like, insecurity is really stopping you, you're not letting it move forward. And I've seen it way more with men than sounds like you've seen no women at all doing it.
No, but I have heard my women talk about their husbands refusing. And it's okay to refuse. It's always okay to say no. It's when you're using it as a weapon. So you're doing it out of punishment.
Right.
So these men that are going and watching porn and pleasing themselves, but yet they won't be with their wife because they're using sex as a weapon, you know? And sometimes it's valid. Like if I have a wife who acted completely out of character, you know, when you lose your stability and you are riding the crazy train, watch our other episodes if you want to hear what that is. But if you're riding the crazy train and your husband doesn't want to be with you, he's not using sex as a weapon. He literally just thinks you're nuts. He doesn't want to be with you when you're acting crazy. But I have heard a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, I have heard it's much more common for my wives to tell me that, you know, my husband is withholding sex. And it's when they are acting, you know, in their own strength, when they're standing in their strength and they're in control of their reactions and their responses and they're showing empathy and gratitude, just being an overall good, strong woman. When you're being that woman and your husband doesn't have like a medical issue or a mental health issue, he's just literally saying, no, I'm not doing it for whatever reason. He has no reason. He's using it as a weapon, or, you know, he's doing whatever he's doing. That's when I would speculate that he could be using it as a weapon. But there's also things that come between a man and a woman that could, maybe he's not using it as a weapon. It's a case by case basis for sure. But that's something that I have seen where it does look like the woman is being punished because he doesn't want her to be able to connect. He knows that she connects in that way. And so they go into this codependent, I had a client recently who is in this codependent fawning stage where she wants desperately to connect with her husband. And I had to dig deep. Why are you trying to connect with your husband? Is it because you actually want to be with him? Or do you feel like you get closer to him and in those moments you feel safe, but really he's really undeserving of your body. He's not doing anything that really you should be sharing your body. If he's emotionally abusing you, verbally abusing you, physically abusing you, I don't think that sex is the best thing because you're just putting a Band-Aid. He might be happy for a little bit. He might treat you better for a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe you finish having sex and he goes back to being that abusive person and then you feel used. So I don't even know why I got onto that tangent.
Well, I think it's really important to understand because, you see, men, you really do think that she's using it as a weapon, but in actuality, she probably just isn't into you anymore. Remember when I got so fucking angry? So we were doing really great. Like marriage was, I thought was like, all right, I've done so much growth and like things are happening. And I made a move on you and you were like, you sat me down and she said no. And I was like, oh, I want to use this thing, right? And I was just flirting, trying to set it up for later, and like.
And I was pregnant.
Yeah, the kids the girls were running around, like, and oh, I want to use this thing. And she sat me down gently. She's like, I'm not attracted, I'm not in love, and I'm settling, and I'm only here to honor my commitment and my oath under God. And I went on this 3-day anger binge, kind of back to the old me. I wouldn't say it's bad, but. I definitely went bad again.
It was really bad,
right?
and I had said to him, I want to be with you, but I'm not attracted to you. One of the things I said was your behavior has made you ugly to me. And I actually said, because he used to say to me, you know, some of his exes, he would think they were beautiful when he started dating, but then they would turn into this ugly person because they were just horrible creatures. And I mean, not most of them probably, but you have some pretty doozy stories.
Yeah.
And so he said they became ugly. So you might think that they're a pretty woman, but they're like really their personality made them ugly. And so me, in my angry state that day, and I don't want to blame it on, you know, hormones or anything, but I was tired. I had twin 1-year-olds I was running after. I was pregnant. I was puking. And now my husband is getting ragey about wanting to use his PP, as we called it in a reel. But he's like, I want to use this thing. And he's not acting appropriately. He's not asking me why I don't want to do it. He's not getting into it, like, how do I feel? He doesn't give a shit about how I feel. He just wants to use the thing. And when I sat him down, I didn't have an ounce of empathy. I just said, you know, I love you and I want to be with you, but I'm at the end of my rope. You've become, your personality and the way that you treat me has made you ugly. I'm no longer attracted to you anymore because of the way that you've treated me. I'm settling. So do I want a divorce? No, but I'm absolutely settling. And it's a good thing I'm a Christian because I'm honoring my commitment. So it was really not nice the way that I dealt with it.
It's so interesting to me. This is a whole other topic.
Yeah, and if I could do it over again, I would definitely do it differently. But yeah, it just threw you into a rage
3
spiral.
days. I went back to my old. I mean, again, not as bad, but like.
And it was actually
seriously.
3 months before we really truly recovered from that.
Yeah, I think probably. And like, so this is why we're so keen when we tell you guys the lessons, like when it comes to growth, when it comes to where you think you're at, why we think it's important to have somebody who knows where you've been and watches the roller coaster with you, because like our growth has been progressively happening over and over again. And it's like, I'll talk about our marriage being great for 5 years. Kathryn will talk about it being great for 2 years maybe, right? And it's perspective, right? The reason is simple. I know that there's a whole lot less yelling and that felt so much better. So my perspective is marriage is great. That's why I was so upset and I thought the rug was being pulled out for me and she was withholding sex from me, right? And then I was feeling bad about myself. What about all this work that I did and all this shit? And so you have to start to really understand this is a journey. Like now we both solidly believe we have this perfect, rock solid marriage.
We have an amazing marriage. And we're coming up on 3 years of when we turned that corner. For me, I know for you it got better earlier, like you said. But for me, it'll be January that's when we really turned a new leaf. And we both were on the same team. And it wasn't perfect, but we were able to work together through things. And the reason that I want to just say this to remind people, when we share these stories, some of you get on, like you're trolling our social media and you hear something that we say and you say how I'm so toxic because I was enabling his toxic behavior, or he's so toxic, and why would anyone want to follow him? Like, you can't lead anybody. You guys say really mean, nasty things. The reason that we talk about our past is because we got through it. And we do have an amazing marriage. We have already gone through, amen. Prayer 5. We share it because we want to inspire. We're not trying to tell people to stay in toxic marriages. We're not trying to tell people to put up with emotional abuse. Just because I say I've been through it doesn't mean that I'm encouraging you to do the same thing I'm doing. I'm just saying, for those of you that want hope, and there is hope, and you're on this journey of trying to reconnect and you're trying to get better, there is hope. And by listening to our story, you can see living proof right in front of your eyes that he says we came from the depths of hell. I don't say that because hell's a pretty nasty place, but we certainly are close to heaven.
I'm pretty sure he thought I was the devil.
Yeah, he was very devilish, very demonic at times. Definitely some spiritual warfare happening, and spiritual warfare, well, that's another topic. But we share it because we want to encourage you. I'm not telling you to withstand any emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. We're not condoning anything. We're telling what happened with us. And we have an amazing partnership now. If that doesn't work for you, if you don't admire our partnership and you just want to tear one of us or both of us down, then go to somebody else's channel. Or maybe you need to just try to get 200,000 followers, because people do like what we have to say. I know, I'm on one.
Somebody got her fired up here. I don't know what comments she saw this morning, but so
people are just mean.
Listen, the reality is simple. If you sit in your pain, oh no, she's withholding, he's withholding, they're using sex as a weapon. This is a perfect example. And it's one that I love because it's the easiest for you to understand. If you want more, then you can follow people like us. It doesn't have to be us, but somebody that you resonate with that went through the worst of the worst and are thriving now. If you don't want more, get the fuck out of your marriage and stop trolling. If you're blaming people and people like us do, like you can't say I want more and blame your partner. You fucking can't. And yeah, you definitely can't blame us. It makes zero sense. But that's the number one thing that allows us to decide if we accept you into our program. And any good coach or therapist or whoever you feel like you need to use should do the same thing. If all you do is blame your partner, like the easiest example, this is a long one, we have to cut this here. This is, if all you do is blame your partner, the easiest example is social media comments, so we post a reel on this and somebody will be like, oh, actually we did the disrespect one the other day and these women are all like, how toxic, blah, 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 blah. Listen, dude, you made a judgment
based on a
35-second fucking clip. And if that's how you feel, you're doing nothing in your marriage. Like zero, like fucking nothing. So we may have been through the worst and it might seem bad and it might seem terrible, but hopefully those of you who want more understand that there is more. And it's more than 35 seconds. It was a lot of work. And these common beliefs that you have, the reason why we call this the new marriage is because we are breaking the beliefs down with the way things work out there. Sex is not used as a weapon. Well,
it can be, but stop assuming that.
it's just like assuming everybody cheats. No, stop watching social media, television, and fucking listening to your friends. That's their insecurity.
Watch social media
talking
if you're
about
watching
it.
us, though. Don't turn on your phone right now.
Plug. Anyways, all right. We'll see you next time.